Greetings, greetings, greetings to you, my Aboriginal brothers and sisters. Greetings to you, my Moorish brothers and sisters, Islam, to whichever part of the globe that you're looking at, and the corporations thereof. My name is Dr. Matthews-Bey, here on the Dr. Matthews-Bey Unfiltered, welcoming you all to this wonderful show or this wonderful program for this evening. I want to be able to address most of my fellow Aboriginal brothers and sisters. And in doing so, I would, you know, very much appreciate your undivided attention because there are certain things that are going on now in the corporation of Guyana that is so unbearable at times. Having conversations is one of them, but I need to get certain things correct and clear. I posted a, let's say it's an engagement on Facebook. And in that post, I said the PPP is a racist, terrorist, ethnic cleansing, apartheid East Indian utopia led by Mr. Jagdeo, where it's the condemnation for that. Hello. So to those who are looking, I am going to start that conversation. Where's the condemnation for that? I just can't comprehend that there's no condemnation, but people want to condemn what the other set of persons would prefer to say civil disobedience. That's their choice, or however you want to put it. But my duty here is to help you to comprehend exactly what is taking place in the corporation of Guyana and what people can do to to help one to identify who they are, and where they're going. So by no further ado, let me start in what I wanted to say. And to my friends who normally would respond to me, there is this notion that we could only trace our historical ancestral culture up to 1487. And to those who are looking and comprehending what I'm saying, would know that I am always in discussions, not only with Guyanese people of the Corporation of Guyana in the diaspora, but other persons who are not belonging to corporations, but who live next to corporations, and those who are in corporations, but are also claiming to be scholars of historical value. And I said, no, we can trace beyond 800 according to scientific whatever value. We can trace back up to 800. We can trace back up to uh, 200. They would normally say 200 BC. But I can tell you this. We, as a North Cancer, the more would have already established Al Morocco. And to those who know what is Al Morocco, they'll get to comprehend that it is the Americas that we're talking about. But Al Morocco means owners of the land also too. It has the meanings are the same. People may have different differentiations, but the meanings are the same. And someone said to me, "Well, you are you're treading where the information of Morocco is and all these things." I said, "No, where Morocco is where it's finally comprehended as a corporation, but that's not what the entirety of Morocco is. Morocco is the land itself, Al Morocco. People may say, well, we fly the same flag, we use the same coat of arms. Yes, of course, we do, because it belongs to us. Those who use it now are borrowed, but that's a different story. But I want to keep on the path. So we were here way before 1487. As a matter of fact, the last king that visited, and I'm talking about the Zulu king, the last king that visited this portion of Al Morocco was of the Zulu king who came across to Brazil with 50 ships in 1411. And I say these things because I want people to go do their research. So in 1411, Christopher Columbus has never even dreamed of coming around these areas. So we need to get that comprehension correct and straight. But we not only need to get that comprehension correct and straight, but we need to comprehend where the information lies. These are the facts. And when he visited here, he didn't came to discover. He came to visit his brothers and sisters. And in that visitation, we'll get to comprehend that the remnants of the same teachings there on the continent of Kemet, that is now known as Africa, and here on the continent of America, North and South and Central America. The same teachings that was taught there were taught here. There are remnants that are on this continent that dated back 10, 15, 20, 30, 40, 50, 100,000 years. So we exactly are telling you that we were here long before all this stupidness that people talk about. We are barely in the information of 2000 years, and we just got a drop in the ocean. We think we know all. Imagine information that is there for more than 10,000 years. We are in the year 2023, the year 2023. There is information on this continent of the Aboriginal people that dated back 10,000 years ago. We barely in 2000. Years according to the almanac, the European almanac. And there are artifacts that are found here about us, especially in places like Guatemala and Belize, especially in places like in Chile, in Argentina, especially places like Brazil. People say, oh, Brazil was a continent of slaves. Oh, no. the people of Rio Negro or the River Negro who lives in certain parts of that particular area where the River Negro, the Rio Negro is founded. They are the original inhabitants. That's why they call it the River of Rio Negro because the people of that inhabitants of that part of the Amazon are they look like us. They didn't came there with slaves. They were Aboriginal indigenous people. They're what you call the Arawak. And you know what is their population? They are over 80 million. Brazil is a population of 200 million plus. Their population alone is over 280 million and they're undocumented. So you could imagine the documented people that looks like us that lives in Brazil are over that amount. When you combine them together, they're roughly 150 million people. And it's the same set of people that you call the Surenes that are living in Suriname. That's how they got the name Suriname from. Name after the Aboriginal Moors. They call them the Surenes. That's how come they end up with that name Suriname. The Surene people. People call them the Joker as short for slang. But they are the original people. They didn't came there because of slavery. They knew their backyard. It's impossible for you to capture somebody, put them into slavery in their own backyard, and they're gonna escape all the time. So they call them the bush people, sir. They according to the what you call these people again? Mm, these people that does these documentaries. But they are the original inhabitants of this land, like me. Dark and polished, like me. Aboriginal, indigenous. We are the Bantus, we are the Moors. We know where our edification program lies. And you go to Suriname and you speak to the Serene people or the Moors, and they will have the treaties with them. Then the first thing they take out when you started talking to them, they will go into the library, bring out the treaties that were signed by the Dutch and the French and the British pertaining to commercial activity, commerce on the land that they would have violated. One person said to me on Facebook, "Oh, but you going back into history, and you got to realize now Guyana is a place now it has six races." Oh no, sorry, it doesn't work like that. It does not work like that. That information is wrong. Although Guyana is a place, it's a corporation. It does not belong to the South American continent. It's a business of commerce that sits on the land. The land now belongs to the Moors and still belongs to the Moors. That's in a trust, and that trust was also made and make sure it is in place for us, the inhabitants, the first people of the land that belongs to the land by the Honorable and Prophet Noble Jew Ali, who make sure that that trust is in place. And that trust was created so we can have a lineage to it because these people were smart. These people were thinking because we knew of the Treaty of 1777, 1778. So that trust had to be created by the Honorable Noble Jew Ali or Prophet then and put in place so we can inhabit these places, we can go back to what is directly ours. And the minute that trust was created, because we knew that they were looking for lands to own, up to now, these particular corporations do not own land. You go anywhere part of the world, as long and it is a corporation, they do not own that. They talk about federal land, federal this. No, they don't own it. Just like in Guyana. And I had to remind the individual, I said, that is why in 1960, they were a United Nations declaration because they realized they had no powers to own the land. They cannot own the land. So that's why that declaration was made in 1960. Article 1514 says that all colonial powers must give back rulership to the indigenous people of those lands because they have no right. So what did they do? They come together and talk about independence. Y'all best check these words that we're using. And that's not a topic I'm going to come to just now. So because this trust was created, no corporations, the countries, they are corporations, no corporations now owns land. So what happens now? They are trying to create an era of abandonment. Well, it's impossible because as long as the people are alive and they're living souls, there's no abundance. As long as they're awake and be edified about the truth about their land, upon their ancestral lineage, well then, hey, what are you claiming? You can't claim anything because you came here and meet us. It's impossible for you to claim. My ancestors were here before you even dreamed to come. Before these Homo sapiens that now call themselves Europeans and Caucasians, because if you check up the Homo sapien, you'll realize it's animals we're talking about. But before they came, we were here. They came and meet the people. It's impossible for you to say, well, you came in here, meet nobody. So who you made that trade agreement with? So what they did, they realized that we are the original owners of these lands. We're not settlers, but owners. It belongs to us. And our names are after the land. Because if you check up the meaning more, you realize, yes, the name of the land. They started to get themselves involved with the Caribs. And the Caribs now decide to fight, try to push us back or push us off the land. And we have constant fights with the Caribs and the Arawak because they want to say, well, look, they are the original owners of the land. And what happened after constant battles and we were going back into vegetation while they are trying to claim the coastal part of the land. Now they're saying that, well, look, you are the Amerindians. We're going to form a boundary line, which we call colonization, to create countries, economic border or borderline zone. That's what it is. Economic borderline zone. That's how you create countries. And by creating these economical borderline zones, now you create commerce, economic, and civilization of slaves, which are called property, or you are called citizens. Citizens means you're property of the state, you're property of the corporation, where the corporation is the state. And the economic activities are what you call democratic, civilized living. That's where the word democracy came about and civilization came about. And out of democracy came the church, and out of the church comes politics. So both parties have to agree and mingle to create civilization. And in so doing, you militarize the people. That's how you have an army and a police force. The police force is to instill law and order that was created for you, the civilized people that are now called citizens of the corporation. And the army is there to protect the economic colonialized zone. That is why you hear countries go to war. It's not countries, not the land going to war, you know. It is corporations going to war with each other. These things we need to comprehend and realize, you know what? What he's saying is correct because the banks and and these countries, the corporations that own the land. So where does the value of the dollar is? How can they claim value? They can't. Everything is an illusion because they own nothing. That's why when you look at Guyana's constitution, you can use it against them. They talk about two things, and one of them is what you call prescriptive rights, because Guyana was founded, formed on what you call Crown's land that was borrowed, because that's what it means. Crown's land means borrowed. It was loaned to via way of treaty. That is why on to this day, it is still lonely. That's why you have Lands and Surveys Commission and they have the Lands and Surveys Act. And under the Lands and Surveys Act, you have prescriptive rights. And in that prescriptive rights, if you are living on the land, a piece of land for 12 years and over, you have prescriptive rights of that land. If you're living on a piece of land that government says reserved for 30 years and more, it is not the government's land. It is your land. Prescriptive rights give you that land because the government can't say that they own the land for more than 30 years. Because civilization did not kick in within that particular period of time. There were still lands that was that they sought to have some sort of negotiation with who the indigenous people, who are the indigenous people, at least not the Amerindians. They have a date of entry on the land. In school, they're now teaching the children, oh, that the Amerindians crossed the ice bridge to come to the Americas. They're calling it the ice bridge. It is the Bering Strait. Every ethnic group has a date of entry. Every ethnic group. But they want to tell us that we came here with slaves when they have no entry of that. They will mostly have entries based upon information written down in books to see when we were bought and sold and when uprising was happening. But if you check it out, the information is incorrect. Every time they loop down on our village to capture our people to enslave them, they had problems. One man said, well, the treaty means that you would have sold. No, no, we don't sell land. Ancestral lineage, which is the entire earth, does not be bought nor sold. You can't buy or sell land. It's impossible. In corporations, they tell you you can have a space, and that's what you're paying for. A space, but you're not paying for the land because it cannot be bought. You can inherit the space. The space means you put a structure and you fence it around. That's the space you're occupying. You occupy. The Constitution says that the government of the day are tenants, not me. It is the Constitution. The president and the vice president and all these people are tenants. And how they are tenants is because the treaty that is being recognized until now. But they don't want to honor the treaty. Some of them know what I'm talking about. That is why when they look at me and they say, well, oh, Mr. B, you have your Matthews-Bey, your Morris Travel document and your affiliation card, you know? Yes, it is to inform you that you are on my land. It is my rights to claim that right, to inform you that you have no rights here. All your rights are stored up from the place in which you came from. That's where your rights are. Here in the corporation, sorry, in the corporation of Ghana that is on my land, what you have there is a status. That is what you have to live by, a status. And that status comes by way of what you call dining. You have a status. You can keep the status. Yeah, no problem. Whatever you want to call yourself in status. You want to call yourself Guyanese, Indo-Guyanese, Afro-Guyanese, Portuguese, Amerindian Guyanese, whatever. Once you want to call yourself all these kind of different things in Guyanese, that's your business. I have no problem with that. But I'm having one problem. That the people who look like me that doesn't know the truth of their rights, their inalienable rights, the right to life, liberty, and property. And that can only be obtained via way of birthright. You can't buy it, you can't sell it. And truly, that's how it's been working so far. Because we know our rights. And our rights is also needs to be observed because it is in the constitution of the corporation of Guyana. You remember the 1980 constitution that Mr. Forbes Burnham designed? He said the corporation of Guyana should not enter into any business nor contracts with the indigenous people of the land. They have the right to free travel at all times. People thought it was the Amerindians he was talking about. No, he knew what he was talking about. He knew those stipulated laws that he was crafting. That is why the Constitution in itself shows me that you're violating your own Constitution. Because when you can jump up and say, well, government reserve, no, the government has no reserve, none whatsoever. That is why your dollar has no worth. Inflation can happen anytime. It can rise or fall. Because if it has no worth, what is it backing? What is the inflation backing? What is your dollar backing, as a matter of fact? Nothing. It's worthless. It only has worth when you spend it. It only has worth when you want to work for it because you tell yourself this is your motive, your motive of survival, your what you call your modus operandi. If you don't work for it, it has no value because it's not tied to anything. when I look at what's happening in the Corporation of Guyana, it's amazing to know that we are just 1 inch from the truth, but we got 20 miles of indoctrination to meet that 1 inch because there's a lot of things we don't know. Let me show you how the de facto administration that you're living under is so smart. When you know your rights, they talk about 6 people, one nation, one people, one nation, one destiny. When you don't know your rights, then they tell you have no right. You get what I'm coming from? And I'm using this as, as, as how they use it as a propaganda tool. When I talk about the Moorish rights on the continent of South America, and Guyana is a corporation that is borrowing time and space according to a treaty. Then they tell you about then they tell you about Guyana, 6 people, and everybody's entitled to everything because I decide to stand up for my rights, my ancestral rights, which is documented. It is Article 1514 of the United Nations Declaration of 1960. It is the Indigenous Peoples' Right of the United Nations Declaration, Articles 20, Articles 4, Articles 20, Articles 25, 26, 27, and 37. Suddenly, when you mention those things, ooh, then get, but it is articles, it is laws that were set down by corporations that the United Nations agreed to govern these corporations to make sure that they follow the treaties that they have entered into with the original people of the land. That is why I must give praises to our prophet, Honorable and Noble Jew Ali, or Noble Jew Ali, our prophet, Noble Jew Ali, because he understood the method of creating the trust so we can hold these corporations accountable. That is why when the trust was created, you had the first uh, 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 collapse of the world business system, and you always have a collapse of the world business system. These banks will collapse because the monies that they manage has nothing tied to it. It's useless. Because number one, they can't buy or sell land. So you can't attach money to land. That's the most intriguing thing. You can't buy it, nor you can't sell it. To those who are looking, yes, it's amazing to know knowledge because you don't own land. You cannot own land. You can own the space in which you are given, the space in which you are given, but you can't own land. And that space is what you call a transport. Means to tell you that you can be transported off the land at all times. And when you talk about titles, I think you're in the wrong direction. My title is with me until I passed on and my children own. You know what is the title? It is attached to their name, Bey. So you know what? Here is the funny part of it. It has no expiry date. It has no expiry date because you're a living soul. But they're not going to tell you that. They can tell you that you're a human being. And when you apply to the United Nations Human Rights Authority the violation of human rights, then they're going to look at you and say, but you agree to be called a human being. You agree to be called an animal. You agree to be living in a status. You agree to all these things because you have agreed In doing so, by giving up the right of yourself, you give up the rights of yourself and you give up the rights of your child. When that child is born, you sign a birth certificate giving up the rights of that child. So that child now belongs to the corporation, which we call the system. It's not a bad thing, but it is there to tell you that at the end of it, you're making sense. It's sad. You want to know that everything you do, you fight up the protest, you come out, you do all sorts of things, and at the end of the day, these things keep happening all the time, keep reoccurring all the time. And you want to know, wait, man, these politicians ain't seeing the government is not that. That is part of it, but they're not edifying you. They're educating. Education and edifying are two different things. To educate you is to make you become a regurgitator of the system. You swallow it and you vomit it out back. And the only thing that does that are animals. They eat and they vomit it out back. That is education. That means you come and you learn to read and write because you have to work in the system. And the system needs to be governed by someone. And that govern you have to govern the subjects of the system, or you call them citizens of the system, or the exact words, slaves of the corporation. That is an education. And there's an edification to edify you to become interdependent from everything. So you have the right to self-rule and self-govern. That is edification, not education. There are two different things. There are two different scenarios. And people say the meaning. I'm not talking about the meaning. I'm talking for what the word is created for. So you call that process etymology. 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 Oh, I now remember they don't teach etymology in school. So it's a hard task for you to be taught etymology now. And it's so difficult. But you can still learn because everything now is on the internet. And that's so amazing to know that all these things that you can gather, there's some of them that you gotta pay for. Like some of the information that talked about out of the archives, you have to find some money to pay for it. So I'm basically telling you now that as a corporate status, you need to comprehend where you are for yourself. Okay? Is that so? Without further ado, I want to take you as Dr. Matthews-Bey. I want to thank you for your time that you would have tuned in and hear of this specific encouragement and how we're going to work with it. And I want to keep on tuning in. There are constant uh, versions of this program that I want to keep on edifying you of your rights as you can gain those rights too as Aboriginal Indigenous people. So I want to thank you very much once again. I want to say for you to stay safe, be careful, sanitize yourself, and wear a mask. Don't forget the little ones when you take them into public places. This is Dr. Matthews-Bey saying good evening and cheerio for now.